give me a grade on the Niners free agency period as a whole. Comings, goings, everything. What kind of grade you giving them?
Let me try to be systematic with it. They did get better at cornerback.
Right.
I mean, Trevarius Ward is a very good signing. I would have preferred J.C. Jackson. I think that would have been a home run signing. This is like a triple. And then at special teams, they got really good players. They lost a couple good ones too in Sherfield and Cannon, but they upgraded there. But in my opinion, they downgraded at guard and tackle. Their offensive line is significantly worse than it was 3 weeks ago. They downgraded at nose tackle unless Javon Kinlaw can stay healthy and improve. They downgraded at nickel safety, and they lost Mostert too, who could have a really nice season for the Dolphins if he stays healthy. And then on top of it all, they failed to get rid of Jimmy Garoppolo. We don't know if there was an offer, but keeping him this year is going to be weird. It's going to be different than keeping him last year. Last year, there was a clear message from the team. Yeah, we traded for Trey, but he's a project. He's not ready. Jimmy's the quarterback. Now, there is no message from the team. Remember when did you hear Ray Ray McLeod's introductory press conference? They were like, Matt Mayoko was like, did they tell you who the quarterback is? And Ray Ray was like, man, I just got here. I'm just trying to get
right. I'm not getting involved.
Exactly. At a certain point, the confusion that the 49ers are creating at quarterback is going to be bad, coupled with the fact that offensive line is now a major weakness. This could be a lot like 2020, where, whoever the starting quarterback is gets hurt, the backup gets hurt, and by the end of the season, you're down to Nate Sudfeld. That's what 2020 was.
God. I mean, think about that. That could happen. That absolutely could happen. I'll tell you what I didn't like about the Ray Ray McLeod comment.
Hold on. D for the offseason. You got worse. You didn't fulfill your objective. I'm not going to give you a straight up F because there's still contenders when healthy, but you just jeopardized your quarterback situation with this offensive line. D.
I'll give him like a C plus.
Okay.
Because I think that they actually, you can give lip service to special teams the day, in the season, but there's not that many organizations that will actually do something about it in the offseason. So I'll give them high grades for addressing special teams in the offseason. They had 3 players, but and corner's nice. Definitely Charvarius Ward is a starter on the outside, and that lets them move Mosley maybe inside to replace K1, I guess. So I like those moves, but there's none of those moves are like groundbreaking or earth-shattering. None of those moves are really moving the needle. You're marginally better on special teams. You're probably a little bit better in your secondary, but you're worse on the line of scrimmage on both sides of the line. Yes. And to me, that pushes it way back in the other direction. So I would say C plus at best. I can't give them a higher grade than that.
Yeah, I mean, they still are contenders. They still are one of the better teams in the NFC. You figure they should be right in the mix to win the NFC West and win the NFC. But still, I mean, I can't get 2020 out of my mind. The fact that they just let Tom Compton walk and they're probably going to replace him with Colton McKivitz or Justin School. To me, they're taking some real leaps of faith on that offensive line, which is, I don't know. We saw how that went 2 years ago. So I'm a little bit.
I mean, can they get what would? Here's the question I would have: what were they gonna do if they had moved Jimmy? Is there a free agent out there that they were going to sign that they haven't signed because they couldn't move Jimmy? That's kind of the unknown part of this. But I would just say, on the surface, you didn't move Jimmy. He's still sitting there. There's awkwardness. I agree with you, by the way. If he comes back, it's incredibly awkward. I think the players went to Kyle last year and said, you know what? We don't want a Jimmy Jack back and forth between guys. Pick a guy. He picked Jimmy. But now you're all invested in Trey. Trey's got to play. It's not the same deal this year. No. And then we're going to talk about it later, but I can't hear another person reference Jimmy's record as a quarterback without puking because NFL GMs obviously don't give a shit about that.
No.
If that stat meant anything, this guy would have a home right now. But
and Tebow would too,
and he doesn't.
Tebow would too. For I'm just saying that was the thing with Tebow. Oh, but he wins. Like, okay, what about his skill set?
Yeah.
Right. That Niner guy says the disconnect between Jimmy Garoppolo value was the issue. I feel like no team would trade for him, pay $27 million, or extend him and cut him a larger check. I feel like no team was going to trade for him for 1 year of Jimmy Garoppolo. And I think that may have been what happened with Washington. Maybe the Niners could have traded him to Washington, and Jimmy said, I'm not going to sign an extension here. And Washington's like, well, then we don't want you. We don't want 1 year of you. Yeah.
Yeah. I agree. I mean, the combination of the shoulder, the 1 year, the high cap number, and he show me something in the playoffs. He really didn't. I mean, if he had done something, if he had one half of awesome football, it would have been, then somebody could say, well, look at that film. But he didn't.
Never happened.
He hugely inconsistent in the playoffs. I would say a major negative on the playoffs if you go back to the total picture of what he is in the playoffs. And every NFL personnel guy can see those films. I think that contributed to why he's still here.
Kaepernick was better in the playoffs than Jimmy. Kaepernick was pretty good in the playoffs. He had some epic performances. Jimmy never did.
Yeah.
Ronnie says, Grant, the Niners need to cut Jimmy G. I agree, but I don't think they will. I think they're going to have a full-blown quarterback competition and make this real weird, Larry.
I don't think they will either, because I don't know if Lynch is stubborn about the price coming back, but I think there's a very good chance he winds up in Seattle. And why I wouldn't fear that, I think they probably would. So, I don't think they'll cut him. I don't think they'll cut him. I think they want. I mean, I don't know what to make of the 2 number 1 price tag or the 2 number 2 price tag. Once Ryan went for a third, how could you get more? How could you get more than what the Falcons got for Matt Ryan? It would make no sense.
Right. And cutting him would be admitting a mistake, a big mistake. And I don't think the Niners want to do that.
No, absolutely not.
Robert says, go ahead, please.
No, go ahead. No, you go ahead.
Robert says we should have taken Tyreek or at least considered it. That Spicer and Kyle's offense would have been scary. It's interesting to see Kyle's doppelganger down in Miami with no Jimmy Garoppolo on the roster, just a cheap quarterback, go all in with big moves, and Kyle has to shop at Dollar General because Jimmy's taking up all this cap space. Not an option with Jimmy here.
Would you have traded the 5 picks for Tyreek? Tyreek is Tyreek. Yeah, they don't have the picks. But I mean, Tyreek is the receiver they need.
It's a great move for Miami. I love it for Miami. What are you waiting for? I mean, you don't want to be Robert Saleh and the Jets right now. Look what Saleh and the Jets did. Year 1, youngest team in the league, lost, and now they're on the hot seat already. Now look at the Dolphins and the Raiders. Those guys are going to have positive first years and probably build up some equity with that franchise where they won't get fired in 2 or 3 years. I'm just saying, smart.
It's funny. Tyreek. I don't think the Niners were ever a player for Tyreek. I don't even think Lynch probably kicked tires on him. But I will say this: he is the weapon that would round out this offense. Yes. He's the home run hitter. He's the guy who takes the top off the D. He's the guy that creates all the room underneath. They need some dynamic, scary speed threat on this offense. He would have been perfect, but I wouldn't have given the 5 picks, and they don't have the 5 picks to trade. And even if they did, I don't think they – it is interesting that –
They traded the Niners pick, though, right? They traded the Niners pick. They traded the Niners pick, yes. Yeah. So the Niners helped them get Tyreek.
Yeah, exactly. Yes. But isn't it interesting that 2 Niner assistant coaches who are running teams both viewed this guy with a ton of valued him very highly. That kind of shows how the Niners viewed him. They still have those scars from the Super Bowl a couple years ago.
Yeah, absolutely. And those 2 coaches have cheap quarterbacks, can make moves like this. The Niners don't.
Yeah.
Yeah, they should. Oh, real quick, look at the Dolphins. Raheem Mostert, Jalen Waddle, Tyreek Hill. That is a fast offense. And now look at the Niners. Just saying, a little foreshadowing for later.
If I'm River Craycraft, I'm thinking, damn, I made the wrong decision. Look how loaded they are. They got Cedric Wilson. They got Trent Sherfield. They got Devontae Parker. They've got Waddle. They've got Tyreek. River Craycraft signed with the Dolphins. He's going to get cut.
Yeah, he'll come right back.
Probably going to get cut.
Right back here. Ricky says, can you guys tell me how Money Mike made more moves in one offseason with the Dolphins than this regime ever did with the 49ers? Flexibility, having a cheap quarterback. How about that?
Yeah.
That was the whole point of having Trey Lance.
Yeah. I mean, I agree with you on that one. They got Trey Lance. One of the attractions of having a rookie quarterback is it resets your cap and allows you to spend more money on the rest of your roster. And instead, they're handicapped now with Garoppolo, and they can't move him, and they don't want to cut him. And so at this point, it's like, and all the people who are trying to – every time the Niners make a move here, there's some army of people out there trying to justify it as the right move. There's like people like, wait a second, they just – I'm going to get it. They did it right.
The right move.
Lynch is a genius.
Not just the right move, but a brilliant move.
Yeah, it's brilliant.
Brilliant move.
They anticipated every one of these things, and they had a, come on, guys.